What's up, guys? Today I'm going to give you guys some tips for beginner photographers. Now, these are my specific tips, meaning it comes from my own experience. I try to avoid watching other YouTube channels that talk about these things I want to talk about until maybe I've already made my own video, just to make sure their ideas aren't seeping into my own and that these are truly authentic. So let's get right into it. The first mistake a lot of photographers make when they start out is looking at other photographers. Of course, this can give you inspiration, and looking at other photographers can raise the ceiling of your expectation of what is possible. However, what will happen is your work will start to look like theirs, and they're looking at other people's work, everyone's looking at each other's work, and what happens is everyone's work starts to look the same. So rather, I suggest you look at the masters of photographers, the best of the best from like the classics. Look at Edward Weston, look at Ansel Adams if you're a landscape photographer, etc. This will give you sort of also an understanding of the history of photography, where photography's been, how it's evolved, etc. It will just give you a more complete understanding of your craft. It's really important that you be authentic. Figure out what you want to say and find a way to express it that's uniquely your own. If you're just looking at other people's work and then copying the look of it, your images will have no soul. You want to be able to say something authentic. The second mistake new photographers make is thinking that gear matters. And of course, gear does matter to an extent. It will let you do things at times that perhaps you couldn't do before. Having a new camera can fundamentally open up what you're able to do. For example, I went from the Canon 5D Mark I to the 5D Mark III, and when I did that, I saw a huge difference in what I could do because of the low light performance and the autofocus speeds. But the Canon 5D Mark I to II for me wasn't a big enough jump. It would have been an improvement, but I would have been stuck with pretty lousy autofocus still that the 5D had, and I would have had a video option, I guess, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. Having limited gear can actually push you to be a better photographer. It forces you to be creative, to use what you have, find ways to get around problems. So with the 5D Mark I got really good at pretty much flash photography because I had no choice. So I had to rely on that. I got excellent at using external flashes, and I bought studio equipment, etc. And that kind of helped me get around the low light limitation of that camera. So definitely having limitations can make you a better photographer, and when you're ready to step up to new gear, it goes a lot further because you've enhanced your skill, and now you're ready for this new piece of equipment, and you're going to be able to fully explore what that piece of equipment can do. The third mistake a lot of photographers make is not really respecting the craft. They do learn the technical stuff like aperture and shutter speed, but when it comes to a lot of things like, let's say, lighting, for example, they're not really understanding how light works. They're memorizing techniques that they're learning from YouTube or wherever, and they're repeating it. But if you don't understand how light actually works, when you are throwing a new variable or your lighting setup isn't available for whatever reason, you're going to be lost. So understanding the craft at a deep level, understanding how things really work, makes you a very confident photographer. As a professional photographer, when I walk into a venue of any sort, I already know the variables, I know the gear I have, and so it gives me a confidence where I feel like, okay, I've got this. Even if the lighting situation is terrible, I know the best solutions to deal with it. Not because I've memorized them, but because I know how light works, and I know I'll problem solve very quickly. The third mistake a lot of photographers make when starting out is not having a teacher. They want to just go it alone and learn on their own, and maybe they watch YouTube and that's how they're learning. The problem is most people can't really learn that way. Most people need hands-on experience with someone more experienced than them that can kind of guide them through it. So my advice is you don't have to go to school for photography, but maybe you can find a local class. There's extension programs at community colleges. There's community colleges, of course. You can go to an art center like where I teach at Barnsdall Art Center, where anyone can sign up for a course in photography. This gives people hands-on experience, and it lets me kind of give them a foundation of photography and help them really understand it. It also gives some structure, so you're not just picking and choosing what you're learning. A good teacher is going to have a cumulative program where everything is building upon the previous lesson taught. So I strongly recommend finding a teacher, and if not, at least reading books, because you're going to find more structure in a book than you are watching YouTube videos. The fifth mistake I think a lot of photographers make, and this is going to be a little bit different maybe than what you've heard, but is they don't really get life experience. So I'm talking about more for a photographer who really wants to express something with their work or capture something authentic and real. If you have no life experience, it's going to be hard to have a unique thing to say. So I strongly recommend you get out there, experience life, and you know what? Bring a camera with you. So you don't have to travel if you're interested in doing like, quote, travel photography. Explore your own city. Just take what you have, take your limitations, and work with it. I do a lot of street photography in Los Angeles. There's new people on the street every day. I don't have to go to another city to do street photography. It would be a lot of fun, sure, but I can make do with what I have. And so can you. So I hope these tips helped you guys. If you guys have any questions for me, if there's any way I can help you in your journey, let me know in the comments. And until the next video, I'll see you guys soon.